Bhagavad Gita says an essential subject from Vinaypedia, the instruction in Bhagavad Gita given to Arjuna by Lord Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are not instructions meant for only Arjuna. Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita with the aim of establishing religious principles. Arjuna, having doubts about fighting with his own family members, teachers and friends, prayed to the Lord to clear all the doubts he was having. Krishna therefore spoke the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita the Lord answered many questions and also gave instructions and principles for humanity in general. Anyone who strictly studies and follows the instructions given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita not only make advancement in spiritual practice but also get the benefits directly following the words of the Lord. The knower of Bhagavad Gita finally becomes the knower of all and gains omniscience for all practical purposes. Srila Prabhupada's books, lectures, conversations and letters offer a comprehensive presentation of this essential subject as seen in the Vinay's Bhagavad Gita says category. An introduction from his books is given below in the following 10 quotes. Quotes from Srila Prabhupada's books. The truth about Archeya does not easily enter into the perverted brain of such mundaners infected with the empiric approach to philosophy. But a devoted person faithfully understands just what is actually stated in the pages of Bhagavad Gita and does not resort to imagination or the empiric philosophical approach generally called spiritual interpretation. Only such a devoted person can accept the logic of fully surrendering unto Kaya and can thus adopt the process of karma yoga to escape the dangerous bondage of work. Message of Godhead, Chapter 2. Generally one who does not know the science of God, Ka, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities and that the living entities are the Puru as the causes, controllers and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad Gita this atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion it is stated that Ka is the original cause of the material manifestation. Bhagavad Gita 7.4 Nature is inert matter displaying the interaction of three different modes, and eternal time and unlimited space are considered to be beyond the existence of the material nature. Activities of the living being are different varieties of aptitudes which can entrap or liberate the living being within and without material nature. All these subject matters are concisely discussed in the Bhagavad Gita, and later the subject matters are elaborated in the Bhagavatam for further enlightenment. Bhagavatam 1.15. 27. Arjuna said in the Bhagavad Gita that controlling the mind is as impractical as stopping the blowing of a hurricane. Sometimes the mind is compared to a maddened elephant. Without following the direction of a spiritual master one cannot control the mind and the senses. In other words, if one practices yoga mysticism and does not accept a bona fide spiritual master, he will surely fail. He will simply waste his valuable time. Book, Chapter 87. Generally, ordinary persons are engaged simply in working hard in the material world, and they have no information that there is another kingdom or another sky, which is known as the spiritual sky, where life is eternal, blissful and full of knowledge. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, a person returning to that spiritual sky never returns to this material world of death and suffering. Book, Chapter 28. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, a materially contaminated person transmigrates to another material body by material consciousness. At the time of death he thinks materially and is therefore transferred into another material body. Similarly, when one is situated in his pure spiritual identity and thinks of the spiritual loving service rendered to the Supreme Lord, he is transferred to the spiritual kingdom to enter into the association of Ka. In other words, by attaining one's spiritual identity and thinking of Ka's associates, one can become qualified to transfer to the spiritual kingdom. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Chapter 31. The spiritual sky, which is known as Kaivalya, is simply blissful light on all sides, and it is under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 14.27, Brahma Ohai Pratiham. The impersonal Brahman effulgence rests on the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Kaivalya, or impersonal Brahman. Bhagavatam 3.27. 28-29. The men and other living entities within this cosmic manifestation are controlled by the three modes of nature. For the living entities controlled by the base qualities of nature, passion and ignorance, there is no possibility of understanding God. Even those in the mode of goodness, like the many demigods and great as described in these verses, cannot understand the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, one who is situated in the devotional service of the Lord is transcendental to all the material qualities. Bhagavatam 6.3. 14-15. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, one's mind is his enemy, and one's mind is also his friend. Its position varies according to the different dealings of the living entity. If we divert our mind to thoughts of material enjoyment, then our mind becomes an enemy, and if we concentrate our mind on the lotus feet of Ka, then our mind is a friend. Bhagavatam 3.28. 9. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that persons who are actually advanced in spiritual life do not care for the dual behavior of this material world. But Dhruva Maharya frankly admitted that he was not beyond the affliction of material distress and happiness. He was confident that the instruction given by Anuruddha was valuable, yet he could not accept it. The question raised here is whether or not a person afflicted by material desires is fit to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The answer is that everyone is fit to worship him. Bhagavatam 4.8. 35.